Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asked the questions on Blakey's boot room. Will always be blue.
Good afternoon, it's Monday, it's 1 PM, it's Blakey's Boot Room, and of course it's transfer deadline day as well. Plenty of exciting news to talk about and debate. Steve and Nathan here as always. Welcome to you, chaps.
How are you doing, John?
Very good, very good. Let's kick off with
there's
transfer
a lot
the most exciting day.
Yeah,
because to cram in, isn't
the
there?
window will soon be slamming shut as the
cliche goes.
Let's start with, I suppose, the big news of the morning so far. Not quite 100% signed and sealed yet, but we believe Danny Gabardon back at Cardiff City in a player-coach role. Tell us what you know first of all, Steve.
Well, obviously released by Crystal Palace in May. Danny's been training with Cardiff, which I mean on Wales Online we revealed that a few weeks ago. Early indications then actually, I think Ollie spoke about it, whether maybe he wasn't minded to actually take Danny on, but it looks like something has changed that, and we're understanding today. Yep, he's going to be given a contract as you say, a player coaching role, and he'll slot in there. I mean, it's obviously got domino effects and other things. But as we've got on today's paper here about Bruno Manga coming in, a centre half, Gabon international, he's coming in with Gabardon apparently coming in as well. On a day like this, that has a domino effect, and it's looking like, as we say, Mark Hudson and maybe Juan Carla maybe moving out. So. Usually sometimes the Bluebirds, not the most exciting day, deadline day, but perhaps today we're going to see a few sort of interesting things. And the Gabardon thing, I think we're noticing already. I mean, it's kind of splitting supporters. I think there's some people obviously love the guy, he's a legend, and other people thinking maybe, what is he, 35 now, he's a little bit past it. But I mean, I think a lot of people would point out at Palace last season in the Premier League, he had a flaming good campaign, there. So,
indeed. Still plenty to offer. Question then from Sarah, Blakey. What influence do you think Danny Gabardon will have on this team? What role do you think he'll play?
I really can't answer. I'm not sure. It's really thrown me bit of a googly, that one.
Do you think it's more the coaching aspect? It's more.
I don't know, because I don't think Gabs has really got his badges or anything, and I'm not sure if. I haven't spoken to him for probably a year or so he might have changed his mind. I didn't ever get an inkling that was the avenue he was going to go down when he finished. So, it's probably, if it's cover, it's probably going to cost you a lot less than signing another player. Like Tux just mentioned, he had a good campaign last season. So, if he's happy, the good thing is from the club and the manager's perspective, you're signing a player who might be quite happy to sit on the bench and come and play 15 games a season, rather than you're signing someone who's expecting to play. So it probably takes away a headache for him as well, and having a good quality centre half who's a Cardiff legend back at the club and available for cover.
The other one you mentioned in there, Steve, then Bruno Manga, who we believe is in Cardiff having a medical as we speak, but talking about a fee of £5 million or there or thereabouts. Seems quite a lot. He's a real athlete, isn't he?
He's a monster, I think.
Next to Morrison, that will be the partnership going forward.
Well, they're talking about him coming in and slotting alongside Sean Morrison. Yeah, I mean, Manga, I don't think a lot of people know a great deal about him. I'd be lying if I said, yes, I'm a complete expert. Gabon international, big unit, pretty athletic for his size apparently. I mean, the only things I've been scouring around, like a lot of people will have been today, looking for things on the internet about him. The only thing I've seen is maybe at times prone to the odd error, I'm told. But aren't we all? Aren't we all prone to the odd error? But apart from that, no, it looks like a £5 million championship for a centre half. that's a lot of money.
You know what I mean?
In anybody's book. So, that's a guy obviously going to come slot straight into the heart of the defence there when he does. Sean Morrison, in from Reading. I mean, I've seen a bit of him now. He's still new. He's still settling in.
Not his greatest game on the weekend, actually.
No, I think he might have thought the goal at Fulham, he might have had a little look at himself there when that Hoogland got in and headed home. But, so, I mean, I was writing a piece this morning, I think it's going online, bigging up Matt Connolly as well. I think, it seems every season,
no matter what,
every season he's the fall guy. I mean, there's an argument to be made that, let alone the best centre half so far, you could say he's been their best player so far. He's looked good. Yeah, he played well at Fulham. They moved him out to right back at Wolves. All right, he didn't disgrace anyone, but he's looked good in there. So, he might find himself feeling very sorry for himself soon. As well. So, there's plenty of options, and as we say, this is surely leading to in that centre half, because don't forget we've got Ben Turner who's injured. You'd think people like Oscar now will probably go out on loan, and as we say, Hudson and Calla, surely superfluous to requirements.
I mean, we've spoken to a few sources this morning who are suggesting that that is the case, certainly in terms of Mark Hudson, but Leeds.
I was watching that goal against Derby earlier online, that classic goal. Just in case he does go, just for old time. I'm the kind of guy getting nostalgic before it happens.
But plenty of reports in Spain that Calla is probably off to Getafe. I believe. Let's deal with Calla first then. Only signed by Ole not that long ago.
Very strange turn of events for me.
Never really convinced, and strange to see Ole bringing a player like that, and then probably getting rid of him quite quickly.
I never thought he was, outstanding in any sense, but I do think as well you've got to give yourself time to settle into a club and adjust to the culture of the country you're going to if it's not your homeland. So to bring him in and then get rid of him within less than a year.
Oh, January.
Yeah, so strange. I don't think. Sorry, Turks. I think if Kenwyne Jones wasn't scoring goals, I don't think we'd be seeing him right now either. So I think it's 3 or 4 players who have come in and have kind of like not fitted the bill, and off you go. So the Calla one, surprised, because at the start of pre-season, the word I thought was that he was going to be one of the main.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Season, so
I thought he was. It was like, right, he's going to be. He trusted him right through the back end of the Premier League campaign. So you thought, well, now they're in the Championship, we're going to move him in. But I mean, you talk about people. Joe Ingeberger, another player, came in January, did nothing, out. So
I spoke to Terry yesterday, and he was saying, Ollie wants to play out from the back, and I just thought, well, wasn't that the reason why he bought Calla?
Yeah, comfortable on the ball, good distribution. Yeah, I know.
don't know. But again, the player himself. There's 101 reasons. The player himself might not be settled. The player and the manager might have had a falling out. The player might have had a falling out with another player. He just might miss home and be homesick. There's 101 reasons. So, difficult to understand because it's such a quick turnaround. But hey, what can we do?
Mark Hudson, then, your chance to pay homage to.
I'm not very good at homage, am I? So to start off and then start slagging.
I mean, a big loss at the club captain at the end of the day.
I documented 3 years ago that I wasn't Mark's biggest fan, and he proved me wrong 100%. Yeah, he did. And but I'm happy to say that. I'm happy to hold my hands up when I'm wrong, unlike someone firing the bullets across the table.
Hang on, what are you on about? Oh, him? All right, you're looking at me then. Yeah, well, you know what he's like.
I just say, I think he's given the club fantastic service. He captained us in the cup final, playoff final. You've got to say he goes far to say he's a club legend. Some would say yes, some would say no. I would personally say yes. He's achieved, a lot since he's been at Cardiff, and has always been very professional and very open and honest in his interviews and what have you. So to me, I think he's done great for the club, and personally I would keep him on, but sad to see him go if he does. But someone like Leeds United, great, fantastic club, and if they're looking to rebuild, then I think he's a good person and a good place to start.
I think what said it all about Hudds is player of the season in the promotion year. That's enough, really. I mean, all the quality that had come in, all the Bellamy's, the this, the that, the money that had been spent, and he really, held it all together and was the guy everybody, looked to. And you know what he is like. He's one of those classic old school pros, isn't he? Fit as a fiddle, good temperament, was in and out the side, never pouted, never sulked. He might have on his own at home, but always fronted up, always said the right thing, good or bad, always prepared to come out and talk to the press. It was a big deal as far as I'm concerned. And I mean, I'm sad to see him go, and as Blakey says, I'm not really sure that there needs for him to go, but with the amount of people coming into that department now, I presume the thought is he want to play. I mean, he's 32 now. He wants to play. So,
and this is a time where he'll think, if I don't keep playing, I'm going to seize up very quickly.
Okay, and a couple of quick comments. Alex saying great idea to get Gabs back in, excellent backup to have on the books, and a good personality for a coaching role. Also suggesting that if Manga is coming in to replace anybody, it should be Morrison and not Connolly, because he's been outstanding. Kay James just saying you're not very long till the transfer window closing. Is that it now after Manga? Do we need any more, he asks?
I don't think there are going to be any more. I mean, the argument, what argument could you make? Right back, a bit light. Brayford gets it.
Has he gone?
No, he's gone. He's gone back. But Brayford gets injured.
Has Connolly gone?
No, Connolly's there, but I mean, he can slot in there. Yeah. Not his best position.
We've got loads of defenders. We've just got loads of players. I wouldn't say there's any position that now, defensive midfielders, attacking midfielders, wingers. You've got people like Nannino to come back. You've got 4 or 5 strikers. You've got 4 or 5 centre halves. Keeper.
We've got Simon Moore there waiting, I suppose, who's been
subs.
Staying at the
Maybe we could do a subs of subs.
Just people hanging around, looking cool in the background.
There's a lot of players coming.
Look, he's got the biggest and the best squad in the Championship.
He's got listen, that's a Premier League squad. I don't care what anyone says. That squad is as good as the likes of, your Hull Cities in the Premiership. No drama, no doubt, 100%. Burnley's probably a better squad than Burnley.
Oh yeah.
That is quite easily, comfortably should survive, even do more. Mid-table Premiership squad. I'm serious. It's massive, and it's stacked with talent, stacked with quality. It's if Kitty in a sweet shop, I feel like.
If things do go wrong, the one thing Solskjaer can't turn around and go, well, I never got supported, I mean, that's the last. The ball's very much in his court. By the end of today now, if the way things are panning out, it looks like the ball's very much in his court to guide these guys back to the Premier League. Well, what more can you say about it? I'm not saying, no one's going to say, well, a nice top 10 finish, let's consolidate. Rubbish.
That's what I was saying.
Top 2.
Well, that leads us on.
Top 2.
That's what I'm at now.
You can't even be looking at the playoffs, can you? In there, really?
Well, playoffs is your fallback. I've experienced that one at Wolves twice. We failed, but the second time we failed in automatic. We went into the playoffs and won it. So the playoffs is kind of like your safety net, but. With that squad, top 2, I'm talking top spot, really. I've been saying, 8th. You don't want to put pressure on the team, but it's a new set of players. They shouldn't really feel the pressure of last year.
£5 million centre half arriving today.
They shouldn't feel the pressure of last year because none of them were really involved in last year. So it's a new squad, new team. Boom, with that sort of quality and that amount of money spent. Yeah, they should be looking to, and why not? Someone's got to put their hand up and say, I can win it. No one seems to want to take the mantle of being the favourite. And I'm like, well, if you take it and you come second, great. If you come third, you still get up. But you know, be brave enough to say, yeah, I'll take the favourite tack.
It's early days, but they don't look like favourites at the minute. We mentioned all the talent that's there, but again, I mean, it's been a week or so since we last met.
Yeah.
Draw at Fulham on the weekend, obviously following the loss against Wolves, and again, just no cohesion, no fluidity, not many chances created. They don't look like a team, do they?
First half of Fulham, if they'd gone in 3-0 down, I don't think they could have had a massive complaint. They couldn't have. No, not really. I mean, because Fulham, let's face it, let's not forget, we're in absolute disarray ahead of the game. You know, 4 defeats up 4, bottom of the table. Felix, McGarth, you know, everyone. When he came out at the start, McGarth was booed by the home fans. You know, because the dugout to the opposite side of the pitch. He was walking. He was getting booed. I was like, well, you know. And so, but first half, Cardiff made them look like world beaters. Yeah. Every time they got near the box, there was panic, there was danger. They got the goal. They could have had more. The one thing you'll say about Cardiff, I thought again, they didn't really look. They don't look to have much shape to them or pattern to them or an understanding between who's doing what. They had very little width again. I mean, apart
you will struggle to get that when you keep changing.
I know exactly. This is what we're saying.
It's like you can. It's obvious, like that is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah,
I said in my article yesterday that you know, I hadn't seen the game. I'd only seen highlights, and I was surprised at how well Fulham played. And I said, you know, yesterday I thought, you know, it is a good point. It's a good result.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. It was a good point, particularly not playing so well.
If Fulham finish, you know, in the bottom 6, then it's not a good point. If Fulham finish in the top 6, then it is a great point. So it's difficult to judge right now because the opposition, you've just seen 2 complete contrasting games from them, haven't you? You've seen one where they were absolutely useless, like Tuck said, the fans are booing the manager before the start of the game, and then you've seen them against arguably one of the top 2 in the top 2 squads in the championship. You've seen them pull out the bag and really take us to task, really. You know, so you know, it can be judged. It can be judged both ways, but I'm going to kind of sit on the fence with it for a while because
I think on the balance of it, on the balance of the day, when you say a good point, it wasn't a good point. It was an absolutely brilliant point.
Because
really.
They should have got
because really they shouldn't have had a point. I mean, second half. I mean, I think I'm a bit down on it, but second half they improved. And
what do you think
there were some real plus points.
What do you think the problem is? Like we're saying, the cohesion, and we know it's difficult to create cohesion when you're not playing the same.
I think there was 4 changes from the previous
Wolves game.
It was 11, I think, from the midweek.
And wasn't there 3 or 4 before that game as well?
But we did the stats on it the other day. Like Solskjaer changed his team more than any other manager in
the world.
History.
The history of the world.
Pretty much in the history of the world. certainly more than any Premier League manager.
Well, it's because this is what I'm saying. Right, I said in the article yesterday, we can't stop him from his management style. This is his baby. This is how he does it. Now, if it goes pear-shaped, what I said is he's an open target because the obvious is being overlooked. Yeah, you know, Norwich have picked like the same. They've had the luxury of being able to pick the same team for the last 4 or 5 games, and it's no surprise that their cohesion is coming. They're looking better by the game, what have you. But you know, I think if it goes pear-shaped, then you know, Ollie's he's out there on his own, sort of thing. You can't really. You can't use money. You can't use players. You can't use. There's nothing, really and truly. First thing people will say was, "Well, why didn't you try and get a consistent 11, first and foremost?" And you could say, "Well, there's players in the squad that he doesn't want." You know, Connolly, you know, Brayford. I'm not sure. You know, there's players where he's brought in now his own. If you look at the 11, he's brought in practically 8 of the starting 11 who started on Saturday. So once we get these centre halves in and what have you, that's what I'm saying. It's all on Ollie.
I think now he's got the transfer window closing. you got your group then, haven't you? I mean, for close on, I know there's the loan market, people going out or anything, but effectively you've got your group. Got 2 weeks then to the Norwich game. Surely it's time then to say, like, these are the guys within reason. This is the side I'm looking at. Get that, start drilling them, start working on things, and go from there. Because I think the changes are affecting them, and it's adversely affecting them.
He's already said he's got no intention of changing it. He said this will be the way I do it for the rest of the season. There will be changes, there will be different teams. Fine. That's the way it has to be done in his opinion.
Okay, well, if it, as Blakey was just saying, if it works, he's going to be like, what a genius! This is the guy who changed his side. If not,
if it works, all I'm saying is it is an exception to the rule, basically.
It is.
There's not many managers who I can even remember in my day who would go with 3-4 changes every game. Not every game, no. I mean 1 or 2 every 6 or 7 games you might get, but you try, and everyone would, like I say, it's an unwritten rule. You just try and keep that same 11 as often as possible.
What do people? I mean, that's one thing. I mean, what do people actually think about the start Cardiff have had? 9th. I know it's very early in the table. Is it 1 defeat, 2 wins and 2 draws or something like that? Do people think? Do people think?
2 draws.
Are people happy? I suppose.
I can tell you what they think about the changes. It's pretty unanimous, and you can probably imagine which way it falls down. And Roy's saying no side gets very far if they don't stick to a settled side. Ole's got most of his new players a while ago. I mean, most of them have been in for some weeks now. He should know his best side by now. Our midfield didn't even show up at Fulham, and the passing was terrible, to say the least, yet again. Wayne saying, I don't think Ole is the man to get Cardiff back to the Premier League, and the sooner Tan sees this, the better. Mike saying, I believe it's vital to build partnerships, especially up front and central defence. I look forward to less tinkering, except in the cup
once he's
games.
got his players in,
we will see on that. What do Blakey and Tux, here's one from Norse Fellow, says, what do Blakey and Tux think about Solskjaer's ability to motivate players? The team almost never performs well in the first half, which is perhaps a valid point, particularly after the game we just witnessed. What do you think?
I don't think there's any evidence.
He says, could it be that he's too nice and cosy?
Well, everybody has a different style, don't they? I mean, you get the hair dryer guys and all that. I don't think you necessarily. I mean, you've been in plenty of dressing. I don't think you necessarily be a ranter and raver to have respect, do you? So
I don't think it really works.
I'm not. Yeah. Well, that element of motivating and all that. I think the players like him. I think a lot of if you listen to a lot of the noises, you speak to like Makeda coming in on the Fondra and people all saying, they grew up loving this guy, so there's respect for him there for what he's achieved in the game. I don't think that's the problem. I think, as we were just saying, I think the problem is finding his best side, finding his best formation, his best tactics, and sticking to it. I think it's that. I'm not so worried about him saying, the players are going out there and they're not motivated. I don't notice that as an issue myself.
Okay,
but he is right in what he's saying about, and like John has picked up the point in, we don't start games very well, and you have got to look at that and think to yourself, well, okay, once out of 5 or 6 games you don't mind, but
I often think that's down to players literally going, right, okay, I'm playing alongside so we're playing this way now. He's trying, it's the changes, I think, are the main thing for that. I'm not sure about the mentality or the motivation. I would say it's like I said in the piece, it's like every time you turn up to see them, it's really weird. It's like looking at a new side every time. You're like, you don't know what you're going to get. You sort of sit there and it's like, loads of teams have an identity. A lot of the good teams.
Why didn't he play?
Well, he was just taken back out, put to the bench.
Because he was someone I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm not sure if they bought him as a holding midfielder or as an attacking midfielder or a box-to-box midfielder. I don't know, but I thought, well, his first game was decent. Yeah, he didn't rip up trees, but for his first game, I thought he had a really decent performance. But it was the kind of performance I expected him to just game in, game out, get stronger and stronger and stronger, and then
he's lost that momentum.
Well, he's on about.
Momentum is like one of the biggest words in sport.
Let me just give you a couple of comments which will lead us on to that.
Okay.
I should say there's one from Al actually, who actually says Ole was man of the match for me. against Fulham. He kept us in the game by introducing Ralls and Makeda, both
People
very good on the ball,
opinions.
both a good vision. These qualities made the difference for me. I believe they both deserve a starting role against Norwich. Dakota saying, as always, we need that player in the middle of the park who can run things and control things. Is this a hard thing to ask for, he says. And let's lead up. Diggerchoy, it was the first real look we had at Diggerchoy. Yeah. He was seen as the replacement for Medell. Really,
he's the guy, he's the holding midfield. He's the guy.
Instead of Adeyemi. What did we make of him?
It was his first start. I thought he was average. I wasn't like, wow, look at this guy, he's here, he's there, he's picking the ball up, he's driving forward. It's hard to judge. It was his first start, average. If I had to go, I would have given him, I didn't do the ratings, if I was doing like the fans do online, I'd probably give him like 6 out of 10 or something like that. Could do better.
Hard man to please any tax.
Well, well, put it this way, I know it's a different thing, but he's no Medell. Well, I'll tell you that for nothing. On first, not the way Medell started the season at Cardiff. Anyway, I know they're very different animals, but so I was.
Quite a few people concerned.
Jury
about
out. The jury out.
Saying we need a midfield hard man. Our midfield is toilet, is how he describes it. And then what do you make of that?
It's a new one on me.
Again, Peter Whittingham started. He seems to be very much in there. Again, didn't really do that.
Witts needs to, because it's difficult when you don't watch the 90 minutes. But I've recorded the highlights and I've watched them a couple of times. He does need to, I know he's got this personality where people go, look, even when he scores, he doesn't go up, he doesn't come down. He's very, very laid back. He's very, very, he's got one sort of tempo about him. But he is going to have to, I think, step up a little bit to hold down a place in that team, because there's so many options now, and I get what I'm hoping is that when it clicks and City go and beat someone 3 or 4-0, I'm hoping the game after that it's not a different 11 again. I'm hoping that from there on, you're going to try and pick the same 11 and keep the confidence high. But again, Saturday, I think, the midfield, from what I saw and what I heard and what I've read, needs to step up a bit more. Definitely.
The midfield is a problem, and you could have a load of guys sit down in a room, a couple of beers, and say, right, let's work out the best. Give us your best Cardiff City starting.
That's the problem,
thing.
though.
And people have come up with like 6, 7, 8, 9 different variations.
I can't hold the players responsible, because I know from first hand it's difficult. If last week I was playing alongside Adeyemi, and this week I'm playing alongside Diggerchoy, and then next week I'm playing, with Gunnarsson, and I'm like, that is like Mike earlier. The email earlier said about building partnerships. It is. That's basically it. Because I never played with a striker who, let's say Kenny Miller then, who's well known at this club. Played with Kenny for just a short while at Wolves before he broke his collarbone, but we had an instant connection. We understood each other's game instantly, right? And that it was almost like having 3 players up front because of that understanding. Now, when you don't have time to gel or get an understanding, it's so fractured, and it's so difficult then to gain that momentum as a team to go on and win games. I'm just hoping that the tinkering slows down a bit in the next game.
I mean, in Solskjaer's defence right now, it's early, isn't it? And there's so many players that you think when you've got.
But the players that he's bought as well. I think that's why I think the tinkering will carry on, because it's not the players of yesteryear or those who he hasn't brought in. If you look at the starting team, Adeyemi's out, Diggerchoy's in, Dali was out, he's back in.
Dali was great. I thought Dali was great.
Makeda on, Pilkington starts, Brayford back in. Do you know what I mean? That pattern is more frequent than the pattern of the same settled 11, or one change here or 2 changes there. So if he falls, it's going to be on his sword, and fair enough. respect.
It's up to him, I suppose. He's the guy. He's the guy in charge.
He knows what he's doing.
More on the midfield. Steve suggesting we should a catch-em-all type player. Is
I've said it for ages.
We've said that before. A couple of years from Cecil Reese and Doug saying Joe Ralls. Ralls needs a run in the team. He's been superb in the cup games. He's got a couple of man of match awards. Obviously came on for a brief spell on the weekend. Witt's his biggest fan, but just isn't offering anything apart from set pieces at the minute, just knocking it out wide, offering nothing going forward. Doug saying give Ralls a run of games. He's hit some cracking forward passes, got a bit of drive about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, I mean, he captained the side against Port Vale, which was good for him. I spoke to him at Craven Cottage, and he's a great kid. He's one, you know, he's one of those guys. He's like 20, and his head is like 35. You know, carries himself really well off the pitch and on the pitch. I can see that call. I think Witt's at the moment. I mean, I criticise him a bit, and then I got a lot on social media. Then I got a lot of people saying, "We were watching a different game. He had loads of the ball, and he did have a lot. Did see a lot. He didn't shy away Whittingham. He had a lot of the ball. I was just questioning what he did with the ball. Then I don't remember any." You know, incisive pass or a lot of long
just the
ball.
clip for Cameron Jones to knock down Darley, slip through.
Okay, there was that. There was that. But I can honestly see the case for Ralls to be brought in there. More changes. Love Darley. I keep saying how much I thought Darley was great.
Man of the match, Darley.
Man of the match, yeah. Great.
More of exactly what it's what I've been calling from Darley. Because I think he's got the ability to do it, and people think I don't like him, but it's not. I don't know the kid to not like him. I think
he's a nice guy.
That's all I hear. So it's not a personal thing. I just think that he's the type of player who has to score goals and has to assist goals. That is his remit for me, because he's not someone you say right and he crosses from you, yeah. Because he's not a pacey type outsider. He can do crosses if he cuts inside and whips it. But
he was linking up beautifully with Brayford on the right. Only the final ball was
for me. I think if he does more of what he done Saturday for the goal, yeah, I think he can go a long way. I do. But out wide, I just don't think he's got the prowess and the pace to be a wide player.
And a big up for Kenwyn Jones. I thought he worked. You know, he's in everyone. The stats speak for themselves, the goals, but he worked himself into the ground. He had very little service. You remember I used to slag off Fraser Campbell a bit last year about, you know, when he gets a chance, but he needs 4 or 5 chances. Big Kenwyn.
1 chance, 1 goal.
1 chance, 1 glimpse of goal in the net. I love that. That makes me. I can sleep well at night.
I will say to you, you'd have to be looking at the likes of your Michael Owens, your Ian Rushes, your Raouls,
and your Kenwyn Joneses,
your Messis.
Well,
1 goal, 1 chance. It's like, you know.
Put it this way: right now, you know, everyone argues about who should be up front. For me, there's only one question: who plays with Kenwyn?
Yeah, I'd agree.
I'm not sure about Adam Lafond.
You would agree with it, because our erstwhile colleague and friend Terry Phillips suggesting this morning in the Echo that Kenwyn should be dropped.
I mean, I love Terry, but tell what are you drinking? You know, stay off it. Stay off the pop over the weekend, mate.
He thinks Makeda, he always said, to be fair, Makeda and Guerra will and should be good.
Well, I think he's going. I think I know I know why he's writing that sort of comment.
I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
Why would any serious football reporter suggest that your top goal scorer, who's in top form, be dropped? Unless he knows something that we don't.
To give time for a better partnership to...
What kind of better partnership doesn't involve the guy who's got 4 goals in 4.5 games? That's not the best partnership, is it?
Because what happens then? You pull Kenwyn out then, right? The 2 up front don't score goals. I guarantee you, 6 weeks from now, Terry's writing, why did you drop someone who had 4 goals in 3 games or something like that.
For me now, there's only one question, that is who plays with Ken Wyn-Jones. I mean, you know, like, you don't have to be an Einstein to say that.
I think Tenerife has had too much sun on holiday. Too much,
he has a lot of holidays now.
More
holidays than Michael Palin. It's madness.
What about Adam Lafondra then, Alfie as they like to call him? He's had a lot of football so far.
He's had a lot, yeah.
Every time I read his ratings in the paper, it's always worked very hard, made some fantastic runs, but the service isn't good in it. I
was going to say, I thought that was Don Cowie's rating there. He said worked very hard, but
is that a fair assumption? Is it more to do with the service he's getting?
It hasn't quite clicked for him. The problem with him is he's not being played to his strengths, I don't think. He played out wide for a little while, and then he's been brought back in. He hasn't quite clicked, and he's been preferred with Ken Wyn-Jones, and I'm not 100%. You know, you spoke about yourself and Kenny Miller just now, going, we went in, it was like, oh, right, we get it. I don't think him and Jones have got that. I just don't think that works. They don't seem to feed off each other. You know, you think Lafondra would be buzzing round and Ken Wyn...
I played afterwards with Dean Sturridge. Sturridge scored 22 goals, had a fantastic season, but he wasn't, you know, I love the guy as a guy, but he was just too greedy. He was too self-centered.
Was that the excuse you made for not scoring any goals that season?
No, he was just too self-centered. He didn't play. He wasn't a team player. Sturridge was Sturridge, goals, thought nothing else. And you get players like that. You can't take it away from them. You know, you just have to accept that different people got different personalities and different ways and attitudes towards the game. But as from my personal perspective, I wanted to play with people who were like-minded then, because that creates partnership. If people ain't like-minded, you can't create a partnership. And I always say 2 of you is stronger together than 2 separate.
Well, it's like you said, it was like having 3, you know.
Yeah.
Because you put I'd like to see Makeda and Jones start. I think people... I'll get my coat. No, people say that doesn't work. I said that to someone. They say that's never going to work. How do you know that doesn't work? They're not as if they're similar players for a start. You know, Makeda is quite. He's a big guy, but a reasonably big guy. He's quite capable of covering a lot of ground. He likes to drift in and out. I think that could work. I think that might be...
would you say,
both scoring goals.
On Saturday, would you say there was any link-up play between Jones and Lafondra? Because you got to then bring into play, Lafondra at Reading was tagged, labelled as a super sub sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So maybe he is better as an impact player. I mean, I said at the beginning, him coming in was great for Cardiff. And he'll probably be able to shake that tag off now of, this super sub only comes on and does well later on. Because no player really wants that tag. You want to be playing and scoring, often and playing 90 minutes. But, sometimes just say maybe coming on last 25, 30 minutes, he's better as an impact player. At this moment in time, I don't know. I'll agree with that. I mean, maybe that is his role. But there seems to be this weird thing going on, isn't there? That Jones can play with Lafondra or Nicky Maynard, and for some reason Makeda can only play with Guerra or whatever. They seem to have been put off, and it's like, all right, which of these two? I don't get it. Why mix them up? Try it. I think I tell you what. Ken Wyn-Jones did an interview afterwards, and he almost slightly was critical. He said something like, with the interviews in today's paper and online, he said something like, a striker's only as good as the service. He seemed quite critical, that basically saying he didn't think, he said, when I got that ball from Mats, that's the kind of thing, critical of the service he was getting. I think you don't have to be, like I said, don't have to be Einstein to know that you have Ken Wyn-Jones in your side now, because the guy is on an absolute roll. Also, I think we have to look at and analyse over the last 4 or 5 games. We haven't really ripped up any trees in the final third anyway. You can't say the final third is where we've been really dangerous and we've been, rocky at the defence. If anything, we've been quite solid defensively, okay in midfield, and we've scored goals, but I can't think of a goal where I thought, standing ovation, or thought, what a great move there. Do you know what I mean? And that's been for a long... I think the last time I remember scoring a great goal was at Hull.
That was a great goal.
Whole last season. That's a great move. What I would say.
Tell you what, there's a problem width, I think, in the side.
They've got no pace.
They're nothing. If they do get out wide, the service is rubbish. They don't get enough. They don't get out there often enough. Pilkington, that jury that's out on Sean Morrison is also out on Pilkington.
Well, I thought
maybe Nuninho is going to be the
well, I thought the young lad Harris. I thought because he was so pacey and he's quite skillful as well. I thought he was the kind of player you keep involved, and that's the kind of player that come December, January, February, you know, you really give him his 20 minutes, 30 minutes up until November, December, and then you release him, like, you know, once he's got that confidence up, because he's got so much pace.
Came on up at Port Vale and looked
okay. But they're always the Carling Cup games. Like it's never like the league games, and I think you've got to bleed players like him. He's been here long enough now. You know, you've got to understand as well, people's careers stagnate.
Okay, let me reel off quite a few comments before we move on to other things, just to give you a flavour. Steve Williams saying, is this squad too big for Solskjaer to handle?
Yeah,
would we be better off with a smaller squad? The size of the squad could well be our downfall, he suggests. From Ronnie,
which is an
interesting one. He says, there are two theories about a settled squad and fixed tactics. A fixed side with it's quite a long one. Basically saying a settled side with better cohesion is easier for opposition bosses to work them out tactically. If you swap it around, you basically need your players to be quick on the uptick. You need your players to be intelligent. Are Cardiff City's players intelligent? He suggests
they're intelligent footballers because they're professional, so they have to be quite intelligent to.
I don't think he was asking, is their general knowledge up to scratch?
Well, obviously, it's a silly question.
Next time I see Sean Morrison, I'm going to check what's the capital of Peru.
That's Tom Adeyemi. He's a bright bloke, and he's got like 10 A stars GCSE or something.
Oh, I did O levels. They were much more difficult.
Michael Ogilvie.
And Blakey's a graduate of the University of Life, the School of Hard Knocks from the University.
Wayne saying, I think when Noon comes back, him and Brayford down the right will cause any defence problems.
Yep.
Okay, Blakey and Tux, how long has Solskjaer got to establish a push for promotion? Would December, if things are as they now, would you start looking for a new manager?
What would you do if they're ninth in?
It would depend. Like I said in the article yesterday, it depends for me on not where you are, the points gap between the top. We're already 5 points off the top. And you right now you think, oh, it's nothing, but then already you stand to become reliant upon other teams going on a bad run. Now, chances are most teams will have a bad run, but sometimes when records are broken, you don't go on a bad run. You know, played at Bolton, 100 points, 100 goals, we didn't have a bad run. We had one or two dodgy results, but we didn't have like a month or 6 weeks where we couldn't pick up a win, we couldn't buy a goal, we just didn't have it. So we ended up running away with the league.
Dave Jones November.
Right. So we don't want to be playing. Why give teams a head start? You don't want to be playing catch up, no matter what. You want to be at the top, looking behind you, and then the other teams behind you saying, "Oh, Cardiff slip up. Oh, Cardiff are at Derby today. Let's hope Derby do them 3-0. So Cardiff." That's what you want. You know what I mean? Like I always say, the mentality is so overlooked in football, but it is so important.
Okay. Got a few more from one from Doug here. Guerra needs a chance alongside Jones. McAdra and Jones are too similar, he says. Give him a chance. Tony saying Dali is too lightweight for me, as Kim has been during his time at the club. Dan saying forget about another centre back. We need a midfield enforcer. Bring in Mark Noble. Josh saying Lafondra has been played out of position in every single match, either out wide or in the number 10 role. He's an out and out goal poacher, he says. Dan again pointing out Javi Guerra scored 15 goals in La Liga last season. That's a phenomenal return. Surely he needs to be given a chance. Another one here, Blakey is right about Kadeem Harris Pilkington doesn't look the goods, he says, so far. Still plenty of time, to be fair, on that one. Let's move on to other matters then. Seems like a lifetime ago now, but a week or two ago we had the whole Malky Mackay affair, the texts, Ian Moody, the rest of it. Incredible story.
Are we going to go there? We're going to go there.
Go there. This is the boot room. We talk about everything.
We don't shy
here.
away from nothing.
We talk about everything.
We don't need to really plough over the finer details of it because we all know them now. But Tux, let's start with you then. Somebody who was very, very close to Mackay as a person, as a manager.
As a manager and a guy, yeah.
What do you think about it?
Well, I was really disappointed when it all came out like that. I know Malky, very well, as people know. And for me, I found the revelations and the texts that are apparently been sent completely out of character from the guy that I knew. Saying that, I wasn't privy to all his private correspondence and thoughts, so, but I think what has been said, that kind of talk or kind of insulting use of language, even between two people, there's no place for it. And there's no excuse for it. And the worst thing is, communicating like that or expressing yourself in that way does make you question somebody's character, because none of the friends I have would
talk like that.
No, if somebody I knew sent me, if somebody like that I knew sent me a text like that, I'd be like, if someone nicked your phone, what the hell are you on about? So saying all that, I was unhappy and disgusted and shocked and surprised, but more than that, because I know Malky really well, I was more saddened than anything by it. And I think sometimes people, you hang out with people and you end up sometimes showing, showing off with them and saying, oh yeah, and going along with things, and it's to the detriment to yourself. And all I would say is, I'm not condoning it, I'm not protecting anyone. I would just say sometimes maybe there has to be a little bit of forgiveness, a little bit of understanding, that people are only human and they do make mistakes, sometimes in very pressurized situations. Sometimes, particularly today, with all the social media, with Twitter and Facebook and all the mass community, everyone's got an opinion and everything. I do sometimes think there's a lot of people out there who were rather holier than thou about things. They're like, well, I would never. I'm disgusted.
Jeremy Kyle.
Yeah, I'm disgusted by it. Sometimes people maybe have to take a step back and say, well, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody sometimes gets involved in things that maybe doesn't respect their character fully, and maybe that is the case with Malky. But I do think there has to be some kind of, if the investigation is proven, and Malky himself has come out and admitted to a few of these things, 3 texts, then I think some kind of punishment has to be made. But I'm saddened, and it saddens me more because I know him, I know he's a family guy and all that. It saddens me because it looks like a really promising career from someone I knew was a really great guy could just be thrown away for the most ridiculous and silly reasons. I'm not lowering it. I'm not saying it's a silly thing. It's wrong, but I'm saddened by it, and that's my take on it. But I'm sure Blakey maybe has slightly different ideas.
Well, come to you now, Blake. First of all, I just want to we'll play the clip we got. Obviously, Malky was on this show a while back now. Obviously, when he was still at Cardiff before everything.
Was this day you got rid of me? Was it? I wasn't on this show. Tucker, we want to go and pick up some.
This was Malky's thoughts on the issue of racism in football generally. I think it was just after the time Danny Rose had been
abused for the 21s.
Abused for England. Let's have a listen to what Mackay said about that at the time, and then we'll come to you, Blakey. Here's another question to the both of you, actually. Nathan and Malky, what have you made of the recent racism incident in Serbia? Have you experienced it as a player in the past? I know you have, Blakey, and have any of your players, Malky, experienced it? Maybe Blakey, start with you, because I think it was in Serbia.
I thought the actual incident was just a disgrace. And then what I found even more disturbing was the fact that the Serbian Federation have come out and totally denied it.
What about you, Malky? What did you make of it? Are we in the terms of bans now? Because fines don't seem to work.
I don't think fines, I really don't think money makes a difference to it. I really don't. I think there's got to be zero tolerance. I think it's got to be the federations. Federations have got to come out strongly on it. It's okay for us to talk about it, for the media to talk about it, for fans to talk about it, but at the end of the day, that's just talk. The federations are the ones that have got to do something about it, and you find there's certain countries in Europe where it's absolutely rife and it's normal behaviour. So we're not going to change, I don't think, their behaviour. We're certainly not going to change it overnight. But so there has to be some sort of punishment attached to it. So that, you know, if that's the way they want to go, they don't play, they don't get involved. As far as our country's concerned, yeah, there's one club that stands out a mile in our division that every time I go there, we have a problem, and I'm not going to name it because I don't want to get into it too far in terms of that's concerned. I don't want to get into trouble, but there's a club in particular that every time I go there, it's an absolute disgrace, and things are, a blind eye is turned by their people, and our players, my players, have been racially abused constantly over the period that I've been there.
How does it affect them? It's easy for us to say, oh, there was monkey chance at a play, but when you're on a pitch...
Of course it affects, absolutely it affects. You saw Danny Rose last night.
He was distraught, wasn't he?
Of course he was, and I've had Danny. Danny was with me with Watford. He was, I had him as a loan player at Watford, and he's a lovely kid, and of course that affects a player. You know, it's easy to say, oh, fuck, never, it's just something from the stands. That's absolute nonsense.
Malky, there, obviously, as you would expect, a very much a zero tolerance approach to that matter. In terms of his situation now going forward, Steve's already said, about forgiveness, about second chances. Others, there's been suggestions, maybe a ban if found guilty by this investigation. What's your thoughts on the future for Malky and what punishment, if any, there should be?
Well, my thing is, first of all, picking up more on what Tuck said, is a lot of people jumped on this being a mistake. Yeah,
that's the words he used.
Yeah. Now, a mistake would have been sending that text or sending a text to the wrong person. That's an action. That's a mistake. This is a belief, something that is ingrained in your personality. This is what you think. This is what you think of other people day to day. So I don't accept it being a mistake. A mistake is something you do wrong without knowing you're doing it. Would you agree with that? So I can't put this down to being a mistake. I'm a zero tolerance guy for obvious reasons, because at some point you're going to have to draw the line. We've had high profile cases of racism within football, and there's not one that, in my opinion, and lots of other people from ethnic backgrounds' opinion, has ever been dealt with correctly. It's never dealt with correctly. I think you look at someone like Sepp Blatter and the comments he made, who was the head of FIFA, towards racism. It was a joke, and for me, that is how it's seen and dealt with throughout football. It's not that serious a problem. I think managers have come out and said, "Oh, he's not killed anyone. He's not done this. It's a mistake." Well, don't insult my intelligence. Don't racially abuse someone and then say that, well, it's not racist. You know what I mean? It is what it is. People don't speak like that unless they're of a certain way. It's as simple as that. Trust me, I know. So for me, I'm not in agreement. Of course I believe in forgiveness. Of course I believe in people making mistakes and getting second chances. Of course, that goes without saying. But if you're working in a multicultural society and you have this almost attitude that I can say what I want because it's a feeling of superiority is the problem, and thinking because I can. And a lot of people have also said, things are said in private. Well, the mask has slipped, I'm afraid, because publicly your persona is a certain way because of political correctness. But privately, or my mum used to say, in private, or when people have had a bit too much to drink, the truth tends to come out. So listen very carefully to people when they speak. The truth comes out in private. So privately, is where I would judge someone's real personality. Not publicly, no way. Publicly is, like I said, you have a certain face, you have a certain persona, you carry yourself a certain way. Privately is a different matter. So for me, I just can't justify it in any way, shape or form. There's no way out. And at what point, if you want to drive racism out of the game, at what point are you going to draw the line? What is the day when I can feel, and my children can feel, and other ethnic minorities can feel that we're not going to face this problem? I'm not going to go and play in a different country and 10,000 people stand and racially abuse me. Why? Why should you? Why as an organisation as big and powerful as someone like FIFA, why do they think that I should accept that?
Well, I'd say obviously it shouldn't be accepted.
Yeah,
what about the punishment? Because there's even a suggestion that...
Well, you can't work in for me, you can't work in an industry if you know, if I don't like snow, I ain't gonna go and work in Greenland, am I? Do you understand what I mean? You can't work in an industry where you don't like what you're working with. I find that incredibly, you know, hypocritical. I just can't understand it. I can't think that way of thinking. And for me, I've always had to deal with racism, but I've never understood it, because I always say to people, you know, if you've got a kid and your kid needed a heart operation and it was an Asian woman who had just passed away and her heart was available for your child, what would you say? I don't want that heart in my child because it's coming from an Asian person or a black person. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense, because at the end of the day, you cut me, I bleed red. I don't bleed pink, I don't bleed blue, I don't bleed green. I got a heart, I got two legs, eyes, nose, exactly the same as you, exactly the same as you. Well, not like you. But do you understand what I mean?
You're trying to distance yourself already.
From Tux. But what I'm saying is, I just don't understand that thought process. And I've dealt with it for 42 years. And I don't want to deal with it anymore unless I have to. So in a game that I've been in and I'm around and I love, I don't think there's any room for it. You know, you just look at you look at our team. You know what I mean? You look at the team that started Saturday, and you look at the different nationalities and the opposition, the different nationalities. You know, sport, life. We're trying to get rid of all these things. We all want to jump on Nelson Mandela and say, "Oh yeah, you know, this is great," and you know, but really, what happens then when someone does be proved to be an anti-Semitic or a homophobic? What do we do? We then go, oh well, but you know, well, mate, I'm sorry, but you can't work in this industry and hold those points of view.
I'm not sure how you would survive in that industry.
What would have happened? My point is, and my biggest, and I've said this several times, my biggest fear is the age. They're the same age as me. Now, what happens if this never ever broke, and those two people ended up at the head of, say, the FA and the LMA? You've got a certain viewpoint that is always going to be, we tend to think it's the elder generations, people who are 60 and 70 hold those views. Well, I'm afraid you'll find that there's still a lot of people who hold those views and will express those views when they can in certain areas, like sending a joke, like I'm sat in a pub with 6 other white guys so I can say a joke about an Asian guy or a black guy and it's racist and it's not, you know, it's funny now. But then when you point the finger and say, well, you're racist, mate, for saying that. Oh, no, I'm not racist. It's just a joke. Well, it might be a joke to you. But that was the same as the 70s when I used to have to sit at home and watch things like Love Thy Neighbour, yeah, and hear all the racism coming out of the TV, and then have to go to school and face those same people who thought, oh, this is a joke, and I can call you this and I can call you that. Mate, it's tiresome. It's tiresome. And you're never going to eradicate it. But if you want to try and eradicate it from the sport, people who are found to be that way inclined, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ruin anyone's career. I'm not saying people don't deserve second chances, but I don't know how you deal with the problem or get it out of sport or get it out of football if you're not going to deal with it when it's staring you right in the face.
Mm-hmm. So what I mean, so you say Malky is found guilty of this by this investigation. You see just a life ban? It's
not even. I don't know, and I don't really care. What I'm saying is, from my perspective, then, if I'm a player, and you're a player, and you're Asian, and Malky comes to manage us, knowing what we've seen and what we've read, how do we respect that person?
No, I'm not saying his career. I'm not saying his career isn't over, because I think in many ways it's untenable.
I always say you judge people. You judge people first and foremost as a man, not a colour, not a, whether you're male or female. You judge them by who they are first and foremost, human being, man or woman. Then, if you don't like someone off the back of that, then you can keep away from each other. But I can't have this, it's justifiable, or, angry, or, pressure don't make me turn racist.
Oh, no, it's true. That's true. No, that's true.
Pressure don't make someone homophobic. Pressure, they're just reasons people want to hide behind at the end of the day. And, like I say to people, walk a day in my shoes, live your life in my shoes. Live a life, then pick you up and put you in Lagos, or put you in Kingston, Jamaica, as a white guy with
please, but 99%
people who are not the same colour as you. You know what I mean? I see people on holiday, and when I've been to Jamaica, their attitudes, I can tell they're timid. Do you know what I mean? Because they're out of their comfort zone. They're out of a position where they already know. But I live that day in, day out.
I totally appreciate that point of view. I think it was just difficult for me. These sentiments.
It's difficult for us. These sentiments. He's been on this program.
Yeah.
I was in text contact with Malky.
I know.
I was in phone conversation with Malky. I'm thinking myself, I'm as gutted as you. I played against Malky. I like the geezer. Do you know what I mean? I do. But I can't then say, because I like you and because I thought we were cool, I can't then turn around and say, oh, well, that's a justifiable reason for me overlooking the fact that you might have said something that might be deemed a certain way. I can't. I'm sorry.
No, I understand that.
Maybe Dave Bennett here sums it up quite nicely when he says, we had possibly one of the greatest managers the club has ever seen. We have an owner who could have been a god. They have both shot themselves in the foot, only at Cardiff City, says over various. And maybe just to finish then, let's talk about the Vincent Tan side of that. For many, he certainly would see himself as perhaps vindicated in the whole row, which was partly at the centre of his own issues. What does this mean? What's come out for Vincent Tan's relationship with Cardiff fans? Is it all still very much overridden anyway by the whole colour and rebranding?
I think so. I mean, obviously, Mr. Tan said all along about, when there was the great call for Malky not to be sacked, and I mean, he said all along, when this comes out, people will be apologising, and on a certain level, I suppose, he has been justified, and I mean, just like anyone, if he himself was a victim of racism, then you feel for him as much as you do anybody else who was dragged into this whole affair by being abused. But saying all that, I still think that on a more sort of prosaic level, a more obvious level, the colour change of the kit still alienated him to a
You have to separate the two, John.
Yeah, they're not the same thing at all.
It's as simple as that.
I've seen plenty of people though saying, maybe we owe Vincent a bit of an apology.
Well, you can connect.
Because they were intertwined at that time.
Yeah, you can connect the two from a point that if this was the reason why Mr. Tan went on to sack Malky was because he knew this prior. But you can't, put them together if it was something that happened after, because there's so many other things why fans are disgruntled about. And this is to me, this is a separate issue. Totally separate issue.
But the badge and the colours were changed a long time ago before this was even an inkling in anybody's
this is a totally separate issue. This is, it boils down to respect at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? I truly respect you, you truly respect me. I'm not going to say anything derogatory towards you, and I wouldn't expect you to say anything derogatory towards me. Simple as that. So I don't think you can, people, should sympathise with someone who's been racially abused. Of course, that is probably the right action most people would take. But you can't then escape from other facts that are going on at the club. As much as I'm saying from Marky's point of view, from Vincent Tan's point of view, you can't then hide behind this and say this is a reason why now you all should like me and I should be able to make decisions about the club and not be contested on them. No. This is on its own. This gets dealt with on its own. The other issues, you have to deal with totally separately for me.
Okay. A sorry tale, really, isn't it?
It's sad. The word that's haunted me throughout is just sad. Sad. You know.
2014.
Okay, then just before we finish, very, very quickly, just to perk us up, Wales are in action over the next week or so.
That's his favourite.
Has Bale pulled out the squad yet? What's going on this synthetic surface? I can imagine Real Madrid must be having nightmares.
Very quickly, because we haven't got long in a couple of sentences. Start of campaign, Andorra away. We don't quite know where they're playing yet because the pitch failed the first inspection. I think we'll know more possibly later on. Obviously, a game they must win. Good campaign coming up though. Qualification this time, surely, please.
I think I can't see any reason why we shouldn't, to be honest with you. I think we've got a good squad. I think a few players have come out of the woodwork as well. We've obviously got 2, maybe 3, world-class players. I think Gareth and Aaron are that far ahead of so many players that they can practically win games on their own, literally. You know what I mean? So I think with those 2 in your team, and we've got a lot of other talented players. You've got to be positive. I think got
to be the most positive. It's going to be the most positive frame of mind Wales been going into the campaign for a long time, I think. And so I think it's Andorra away, and then is it Bosnia coming up, and is it Cyprus? That's a crap.
That's Bosnia's the
good start. One thing they haven't had for ages is a good start, isn't it? Because I know it's a cliche, but honestly, you build that. You build that, they win, and then you've got Belgium coming, and it's like to go top. You've got a rocking Cardiff City Stadium there. You've got it full to the right. You're begging to get a ticket off your mate, and that infuses through everything. Then it's a little bit like Sparky had when they came so close. Was it Euro 2004? That was a bit of bandwagon road. They were like 70,000
every week. But what we had arranged, we sat with Sparky. I'll give you a little insight. We sat with Sparky, and it was right. When I go to sort out the games and the process, what games do we want? How do we want to do it? So, and that was it. We were like, well, let's try and get a few easier games so we can get a momentum. So we got 3, 6. I think we had 9 points on the board.
Well, they did one over in Finland, and stuff.
We gained momentum, so there's a lot to be said for who you play and when you play them, definitely.
Oh, I think so. I think it has a massive difference. But wow, I mean, Gareth Bale, Aaron Ramsey, and some good youngsters coming through, and a little bit of depth, Joe Allen as well in there. You can't forget about. He's playing in one of the best.
Well, this is for me. We're saying like Bale and Ramsey, but players like Joe Allen,
Ben Davies is a £10 million fullback.
Exactly, Ben Davies. You know what I mean? We got a. It's not like we got a good strength in a lot of different positions.
Look, let's put it this way: if they shoot themselves in the foot this time,
who's the striker? That's the key.
It's such a shame about Sam Vokes. That is such a shame. He was doing so well at Burnley, and he should be now. He should have played against flaming Man United the other day.
It's going to be difficult for Chris to, without knowing exactly who my number 9 is. You then, because everything centres to that.
Does he play Bale up there?
No.
Is there not a case? I don't know. Maybe he's so good.
I think he's certainly talked about it as a potential
sticking him
option,
up there almost. You said he can win games on his own.
You might put him up of a 3, or you play that false number 9 one then. You know what I mean? But that is going to take some work. So
it's going to be exciting.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, certainly excitement. Okay, chaps. I think we'll.
I think we'll qualify though.
Okay. Let's hope.
I hope we qualify.
I think after the World Cup, players coming back, speaking to people like Gareth Bale and all the rest of them, and I think, yeah, you do get the bug.
I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to Blakey's Boot Room live from Paris.
Paris.
Gay Paris.
We might be able to get that. We'll have to drive.
I'll pump up the tyres on my bike now. That'll be good.
Yeah, camper.
I'm not buying you a pint over there. Really expensive.
I don't drink lager.
A little aperitif, monsieur. No, but the typical Wales, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're already ordering the drinks in the roadside cafe. Come on, Wales, though.
Good stuff, chaps. We'll be there for today. We'll be back next week, next Monday. Well, I won't actually. I'm on holiday, but
It's not Gazzy Rogers.
It'll be Gazzy Rogers.
They're bringing Gazzy Rogers out of storage.
Yeah, bring him out of storage.
Bring him out of his cupboard.
Hey! But I'm sure you'll have
I love Gaz.
have a lot of fun. Obviously, lots of news and stories to be had today. Transfer deadline day goes on till 11 p.m. I believe. It normally goes on a bit longer than that as well, doesn't it? You always get one or two that come
It was
through.
a rogue fact somewhere around.
Be Harry Redknapp, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, him coming out in his car. Oh, it's going to be a great, exciting night.
Indeed. Keep in touch with us throughout the rest of the day and evening on that, and we will see you again next time. Take care.